Listen. Not with the ears, but with the wound inside you. This is not a story. This is a mirror. In the ancient Chola land, where Earth still remembered the weight of armies, there lived a man called Siruthondar. A warrior, yes, but more dangerously, a lover. His sword never hesitated. When he entered the battlefield, death followed politely behind. Kings whispered his name the way children whisper fear in the dark. Victories piled at his feet like fallen leaves. Yet, inside this man who shattered empires, there burned a silence. A silence that bowed not to crowns, but to Shiva. Shiva, the destroyer who dances on ashes, the god who asks not for morality, but for totality. Siruthondar did not pray for heaven. He did not ask for liberation. One day, in the midst of war, time stopped breathing. Thunder cracked the sky. Clouds split like old lies. In that tearing open of the heavens, Siruthondar saw him. Not as comfort, not as blessing, but as command. The sword fell from his hand, not because he was tired, but because he was complete. He walked away from power the way a snake walks out of its old skin. Palaces turned to dust behind him. Victory lost its taste. He became a servant, not of temples, but of Shiva's wanderers. With his wife, a woman carved from the same fire, they cooked, they served, they bowed. Every Shiva mendicant was Shiva himself. Every empty bowl was a sacred scripture. Years passed, wealth vanished, hunger stayed, joy remained. Then, one evening, the test arrived. Not with drums, not with miracles, but with a knock. The door opened, and there stood a Bhairabi, wild hair, eyes like burning cremation grounds, a presence that bent the room inward. "I am hungry," he said, "but not for grain, not for fruit. I want the flesh of your only son." Silence. Not the silence of doubt, but the silence before the jump. Their child played nearby, laughter, innocent, unaware that gods were watching. The wife trembled, not with fear, but with clarity. She looked at her husband and said nothing. Nothing was needed. They called the boy gently. "Come," they said, "let us play." The knife flashed, not as cruelty, but as surrender. The Bhairagi ate, slowly, completely. Bones cracked. Then he wiped his hands and smiled. He said, "Call your son." Their voices broke the air, and from outside, the door opened. The boy ran in, alive, radiant, untouched, laughing. The room exploded into light. The Bhairagi expanded, became Shiva. The wild hair was the cosmos, the eyes were eternity. Parvati stood beside him. The ganas filled the sky. Kailasa descended into the house. "You did not offer your son," he said. "You offered yourself." Siruthondar understood. The greatest sacrifice is not blood, it is identity. Remember this. Shiva does not test to take, he tests to remove.